Welcome to Din's Talk, the space where soul wisdom meets bold action. I'm Mia Dins, your host, here to ignite your fire, help you claim your power, and guide you to take unstoppable steps towards your dream. Every episode is designed to awaken your purpose, fuel your passion, and spark transformation in your life. It's time to step into your truth and never stop. Let's dive in.
Hello, beautiful souls. Anyone who's tuning in, thank you for tuning back into Din's Talk. Let's talk soul. And another episode is happening, and I'm excited to welcome a very dear, beautiful guest, Kelly Morgan. We met online when I put a call out to Facebook to look for guests, and she contacted me, and we instantly connected. It was like this big yes, when the frequencies just matching and we just hit it off. And she is a very beautiful soul. She is an indie author, self-publisher, Bright Heated Publishing, and she's holding space for authors, creatives, writers, anybody who has a story to tell, especially underrated stories. She's holding space for everyone. She's also the host of Authors Mike, and weekly she's having a 15-minute session. I was on there before as well, and you get the chance to tell your story, and she's is giving anybody who's listening some inspiration. And it doesn't matter if you're a writer or not, but everybody has a story to tell. And I love her approach. But she's also a mother, right? Also another hat she's wearing, and she's doing a lot of things. And I'm really grateful that you're here today, Kelly. And I know it's just a very tiny snippet, this introduction here. I'm sure I missed lots of parts, but that's why we are here to hear your story, your philosophy, and writing. I mean, writing is a big thing. And also your story when you first wanted to publish your first book, and how it actually then led you on becoming a publisher, and firstly understanding what it actually means, and then giving that space, holding that space for others so they don't have to go through the same thing. So very, very inspiring. And of course, in between this whole spectrum, there are so many things you have done and you keep doing, and also trusting the universe and the divine and working very closely with that energy. That's why we, of course, vibing on that frequency. And yeah, welcome. I am so honored. I'm so excited to have you here. So you can introduce yourself and say hello to the audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad that we could finally connect, right? I'm so glad that we could do this. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. I appreciate it. It's really weird when you hear about yourself and you're like, wow, I did all that. So, it's just kind of weird when you hear somebody introduce you. So thank you. I am honored. And I'm really honored to be able to have the opportunity just to share my story, right? And see if my story resonates with somebody in hopes that maybe, it can help somebody because, you think you're alone. Sometimes you feel very lonely, like you're the only person going through whatever you're going through. But I'm here to tell you, it's not true. There's somebody who's got a similar story or who can relate and who would probably benefit from your story and how you overcame or whatever. So that's kind of my mantra. Everybody has a story to tell, right? And your words are important. So how do we get your words out there? When I tell people that I am a indie author and indie publisher, they always say, "Ooh, I have a book in me," or "Ooh, I want to write a book," or "Ooh, I wrote a book," right? And so I think we are here on this planet for the sole purpose of creating, right? Everybody just has this urge to create. Either you're got a story to tell, or you paint, or you do music, or you dance, or you act, or whatever it is that you do. Probably have some type of creative outlet, right? And I think that's one of the reasons, that's one of our purposes. I also believe that one of our purposes is to definitely help others, right? So not only are you creating, but if you create a space that allows you to not only express yourself but help others, then what more could you want? What more happiness could bring you from that? Because to me, that's everything. Because that could then allow you the freedom to go do a lot of other things, right? So that's kind of my whole philosophy. And it took me a long time to get there, right? Through trial and tribulations and whatever. But to kind of preface at it. So I was working like everybody else, 9 to 5 corporate job, dealing with all the corporate bullshit, politics, whatever. One day they, came to me and said, you got to lay all these people off. And I just didn't have the stomach for any more layoffs. Right. And they also told me, we value you, Kelly. We would love for you to stay. Now we're going to cut your salary by like $25,000, but we value you. Stay. Or you can take the severance at what you make now, and we'll give you that severance for a year. So I'm like, oh, I'm out, right? I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. And when I left, I really didn't know what to do. I really didn't even know, like, I mean, I just went on this kind of soul searching mission because I had nothing but time now, right? I'm kind of freaked out because I'm not working, right? But I'm also getting the severance. So I'm okay at least for the next 11 months, right? So this is when I thought I'm going to write a book. I've always wanted to be a writer. Maybe this is my moment. Maybe this is my opportunity. So I wrote my first book, You Sound White. Total fiction, but the things that happened to the character really happened to me as being I'm a person of color growing up in white spaces, right? And not fully being accepted for how you sound because you might sound one way and look another. And that's not always accepted in either space, where it be I'm in a space with all people that don't look like me, or I'm in a space that people that do look like me. Either way, I don't sound like I'm supposed to. So I was always told I sound white. So that was the title of the book. And I didn't really know much about this whole publishing book thing. I only know what I saw like in movies and saw, you publish, you write the book, you find a publisher. Next thing you know, you're on book tour, you're on Oprah, you're rich, you're on the bestseller list, you're all these wonderful things are going to happen. This is what I thought. Not that's not what happened, but that's what I thought was going to happen, right? So I start pitching the book. And I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of no's, but I got this one yes from this publisher that said, oh my God, this is the best book ever. You're the best writer ever. And they really gassed me up for about a week. And they said, oh, we're going to help you edit it. And we're going to help you find a cover. And we're going to do all this. And you're going to go on book tour. We're going to have signings and just all these wonderful things. So then I just was bragging to everybody, right? Oh my God, I'm an author and I've got a publisher and I'm going to be rich, you guys. And about 10 days into this, he came to me and said, well, Kelly, I've made this huge investment in you. I just need you to buy the books. And I was like, I thought the publisher bought the books. He's like, well, I'm making all this other investment. Yeah, $700 should cover it. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. And I sent this man $700, not to mention he had my book. So the book was on Amazon. And if it was making any money, I have no idea because I didn't see any royalties because he had it on his platform. And he now had my $700. The minute he got that money, he ghosted me. He disappeared. No more returning my calls, no more returning my emails, nothing. Book gone. And I went into shame. I was so embarrassed and ashamed. I wasn't mad. I was embarrassed and ashamed because I had bragged to everybody. So I retreated as I do when I'm wounded. As a Leo, we retreat, right? When we're wounded, we retreat quickly, right? We wound very easily. And so I spent a lot of time crying in my closet because I'm a private crier. I do not like crying in public. I don't know what that's about. That's my own little hang up about crying, but I am a private crier. So I spent many a months crying in my closet and I didn't say anything to anybody. I just stopped talking about the book. But I always had that urge, like, God, Kelly, go get that book. Don't let anybody do that to you, right? That little voice in the back of my head is like, not yelling, not screaming, just very quietly, go get your book back. You can figure it out. Have you tried? Right? And so I thought, well, I haven't. What do I do? And so they said, I heard the little voice say, literary attorneys. Why not? Okay, why not? I don't know anything about literary attorneys. So I started reaching out to them. All of them pretty much said, who are you? We're very expensive. You're nobody. What? But one attorney, this is how the universe works. It only took one. One attorney took pity on me. He actually called me and he said, you know what? Here, I'm going to send you a template. Use it. It's got my name. Send it to Amazon. Send it to him. It's a cease and desist and release. Send it. See what happens. 2 weeks later, I had the book back. Amazon released it to me, right? Never knew what they said. They just released it. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. I never saw my money or whatever. And so now I've got this book back. I've got it back, right? It's mine, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, what am I going to do? I'm still kind of wounded. And this whole indie thing is just for the birds, right? It's just not working out. But the little voice in the back of my head said, well, you're a smart cookie. Why don't you just start your own publishing company? Why don't you just publish yourself? So I went down a rabbit hole on self-publishing and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna publish myself. I'm gonna start my own publishing company and I'm gonna put my book out there. And I did. And I put it out there and not knowing what I don't know. And I started a podcast because I'm like, you know what? I'm determined to help others. That sucked. Getting scammed sucked. I am going to help others. I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to talk to authors. I'm going to help them promote their book. We're going to talk about, we're going to do all these things that I wish somebody would have done for me, which sounded great, right? However, no strategy behind this, no intention. I had no thought process. I'm just out here recording this podcast. And the funny thing was, is that people came out of the woodwork. I had so many people wanting to be on this little podcast of mine that that's all I did. I had no time for me. So I'm giving everything to everybody, but I'm not promoting my book. I'm not talking about my book. I'm not doing anything with my book. I'm doing this podcast now. I'm a podcaster. This is not what I wanted to do. And that first year, I interviewed 150 authors, right? I have all the recordings still. The podcast is still out there. It's called the PHB Patio Book Club, right? And so they're still out there. But I burned myself out and I stopped again. I retreated again. This is not working out. Then COVID comes, right? So I don't know about you, but I began to eat my feelings, right? So not only we're all trapped, we're all kind of scared, we don't know what's going to happen. We're eating more than ever because that's all there's to do. So then if you eat and do nothing, you gain weight. So now not only am I gaining weight, I'm depressed because I'm heavy and this is just not, my life is just this is a shit show for me. This is not working out for me at all. Right. And so I retreat, but when I get down like that, I write. So I start writing, not a book, just me writing every day. And what I wrote turned into my second book called Wait for It. And it's just about the messy middle of weight loss that nobody talks about. Being fanatic, overdoing it, not doing it healthy, going for the quick fix, right? Just all of the things that you do to lose weight that nobody talks about. They show you the beginning and they show you the end, but nobody talks about all that bullshit in the middle. That's what Wait for It's about. So I published, but I told myself, okay, got this book that I didn't know was a book. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna come back again because still the urge to come out and publish these books and be a published author and have this company never went away. Right? It never went away. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do this again, but this time I'm gonna take everything I learned from last time and I'm going to double down. I'm going to put real intention behind this, right? I'm going to put real mindfulness behind this, real strategy. I want longevity. I want to help myself, but I want to help others. How do I do this? And I simply asked the question, right? I just simply asked, how do I do this? And I'm a meditator. So I meditated on this. How do I do this? And it came to me. Kelly, you can do this again. Relaunch your books, come out with the podcast, but do it on a timeline and do it what works for you. And don't overwhelm yourself and set boundaries and all these wonderful things that I had started to incorporate into my life. And be authentic. Kelly, just tell your story. That shame through really starting to practice self-love, that fell away, right? And I realized as I started telling my story that there was actual power in my story. People would be like, oh my God, I can relate. Or, wow, that's a powerful story, Kelly. You should share that. And I'd be like, really? Can somebody really benefit from this? So, in me not only just out there marketing my books, this thing became a brand, me marketing me along with my books. Brighthead Publishing is my brand. It is me. And my mission is to help authors get their words out there. So I'm not a publisher as I am, let me help you market that book. Now that it's out there, because you don't need me. I could easily take somebody's money and put it up on Amazon. Amazon's free to do that. You don't need to pay anybody to do that. And I'm adamant about if it's a free resource, don't pay anybody to do that. Unless, of course, you want to because it's time consuming or whatever. But if you can do it yourself, get the book out there. But once it's out there, who's going to read it? Let's figure out how to get that book into all the right hands so it can help. Let's have that book do the work that it was meant to do, right? It only truly needs to get in the hand of one person to start a roots movement for your book, right? If the book is authentic and true and rooted in truth, even if it's fiction, if it poured out of you, it's a great story. And somebody will love to read it, but we'll never know unless we try. That is what Bright-Headed Publishing is about. And that is how I got to where I am now. And along the way, really kind of having a spiritual journey, stepping out onto faith, listening to the little voice in my inside, listening here first. Listen to me first, you second, right? Not letting people rent space in my head, knowing that no is a complete sentence, right? Protecting my peace and really holding myself to my boundaries and being consistent. All of these things took time, and they were not just one gigantic step. One day I just came out and like, bing, here I am. No, it was a very ugly journey, but you got to start somewhere, right? So start where you are and then start
Mm.
incorporating these things little by little. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture to make a grand move, right? It can be a little gesture to have a huge impact on your life. So for me, it was a lot of meditation and a lot of self reflection and a lot of just listening, just sitting with me, knowing it's okay to feel how I feel. And then, you know what, sitting there for a minute, but not staying there. And lastly, I do not beg for a seat at somebody else's table. I will never beg again. I will always build my own table. If there's not a space for me, I will create one. And then I will always, always, always invite others. Always.
So powerful. Oh my gosh. Thank you for
You're welcome.
sharing this. It was like, I was like, that was like, watching a movie. I was just like really drawn in. And it's like, because you're so authentic. And my gosh, so many people can relate, not just because of the book, but that everything that happens with it, right? The shame, like, like I have been part of scammers. Absolutely. What, like with one was a like a psychic, like a healer. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like online. And because she told me something about my mom, and that was a wounded part within me, where I was a little bit lost
So
at
she
that
hooked
time.
you in. She hooked you, right? And then
Yeah.
scammed you.
And then
Yep.
I paid the money, and like nothing really came out of it. And the another part was with when I was connected to a guy online, and he was doing stock market things and one, trading and teaching me, and it was like really well, nicely done. Like you. I'm bright too, I have my head right screwed on my, like it's on the right place. But in those moments, when they're really good, it can happen to anyone. That's what I'm trying to say. It has
Anybody.
nothing to do with like you're dumb or have to feel ashamed of or whatever come through. But then the shame comes and it's okay. Like you said, I love that. And I am absolutely with you on that. It's about seeing it, feeling it, but don't stay there. And I'm so like excited, and I felt so empowered, and I'm sure like everybody's listening, like you said, like, you were in this phase of crying, you didn't know what to do, and then more shit happened. When it rains, it pours. It's not just a
Well,
saying, it's true,
and I
right?
learned too that, as all this stuff is happening, I find myself searching for answers everywhere but inside, right?
Mm,
So I'm looking for this answer and I'm looking for this answer and I'm looking for somebody to tell me what to do. What honestly, I know what to do. I'm just not listening to me. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing that little voice, but I'm like, whatever. I'm not doing that. I when I started listening to that quiet voice, and somebody told me, and it's so true, your ego is very loud. Your ego is the one that is yelling in your head. That is total 100% ego. But that small, quiet voice that kind of whispers to you, that is your higher self. That is your intuition. Those are the moments that you should take note. And those are the times that you should probably act. Like when it says turn left this time. You hear, turn left. And why am I turning left? I never turn left here. You never know what happens if you turn left. There's a reason, I think, why the universe gives you little nudges. And I think a lot of times we ignore them because there's a lot of noise out in the world, right? Lots of noise. And we're all
mm,
looking at screens these days. And
mhm,
those screens keep us distracted. So I made a commitment to me. Screen time is at a min. I don't even watch television. I watch movies because I love a good movie because it's like a book, but I don't watch television. And so somebody said, well, you're not informed. No, no. I said I didn't watch it, but I read everything. I can read the news, right? I can read world events. I can read about things. I don't have to watch the images. And I don't have any social media apps on my phone. I have
mm,
games, right? I have word games, but I don't have social media apps.
mhm,
When I do get on social media, it's for my business and I use a laptop because it helps me keep focused and it minimizes my screen time, right?
yeah.
And then I can do other things, go walk the dog, garden, whatever. but I don't want to be in front of a screen all the time. It's just not good, right? And
Mm,
so I've just this is just me. I'm not saying if you're in front of a screen you're a bad person. I'm saying for me personally, walking away from the screen and having time to listen to me was a huge shift in how I think because I
mm,
actually started listening to me because there's nothing else to do. I'm not doing this, right? I'm actually can listening to the voice and saying, "Huh, maybe I will do this," or maybe I will start this business, or okay, I will take weight for it and make it an audio book, and I will figure out how to get these things done, and I will, whatever. And so it's blown up. It's Brighthead Publishing has turned into something I never started it out to be, simply by just listening to the voice and just following what my heart is telling me to do, which is
mhm.
something I've never done before. I've always
Yeah.
been told, go get the job, work the 9 to 5, retire, whatever, take your 2 weeks a year and go on vacation and da da da. That is just not living. I've
Mhm.
come to this conclusion. That is not living. And
Yeah.
so I have I want my if I have to work and do these 9 to 5 society things, then I might as well enjoy the time I spend with me, right? And so I didn't even love me. I had to really like tell myself the first time I told myself I love me in the mirror, it was an incredibly uncomfortable feeling. That's weird. But now it's like, oh yeah, I love the hell out of me. But it took me a lot. When I hear myself say it, I'm like, man, and I believe it, right?
Mm.
I believe it. But it took me a long time to get there. So I always tell people, start where you are. Sit with you. Just sit with you. And what do you have to say to you? I bet you it's really some good shit if you listen.
Yeah, I love that, and relate. I can so relate to that. The first time I was doing that in front of the mirror because I'm having a similar story, and I actually was on a podcast last night, and I said like, man, I was sabotaging myself. I was having so much self hatred. Well, the ego and the conditioning, right? The soul is not like that, but you don't want to know, all the stuff that I told myself. Not just consciously, but even subconsciously, because that was shown in my actions and what I'm doing, and completely like disregarding myself on every level, like all the time. And that takes some time to untangle that, right? To really let that go and shift through all the layers. And like we share similar passion with the martial arts and being very disciplined, being an athlete, right? There's also a lot of penetrating masculine, and that's all good. I truly believe discipline, it sets you up. And when if
Yeah.
you use it right, if you use it right, not destructive, but also leave a little bit of room for flow. And that's what I'm actually like rearranging and reshaping my identity now, because the last time I was in a boxing ring was 2 years ago. But just took some time to see all that, what has it given me, but where did I dim my light and did not listen to my body. And it wasn't just boxing, but even all the time before, I completely override everything, all the needs, everything. And it just like was a beautiful, messy, painful journey to go there. And like you said, it's not an overnight thing. This is my entire life. Everything up till today is my entire life. Like everything I'm doing. And when people ask, how do you know all that? It's just like, because I believe, like you, like go deep within. Like if, that get to know yourself, you are the one person you spend the rest of your life with. So why would you not want to get to know yourself? And only if you know yourself, you can truly express yourself, your needs, your desires, your dreams to another person, to the world. Without that, impossible. Who are you? A copy of something.
Right. And then if you get to know yourself, you can step into whatever you do unapologetically, right? And you can stop the people pleasing, right? I think we are a society of where we don't want to be alone, right? Some people settle because I don't want, this is better than being by myself. Or you say yes to everything because you don't want to be left out. And I have learned that people pleasing is definitely not the way to go, because I would find myself people pleasing and the only one that's not happy is me, right? I'm saying yes to everything and everybody else is over here happy. And now I'm getting resentful because you guys are all great. And I feel like shit because I'm not saying no. I'm not really doing what makes me happy. I'm doing what makes you happy, right? And that's a disservice to me. So I just have really learned to honor myself, and writing stuff down, being able to see all my messiness on paper really helped me put things into perspective, right? It made it very real for me. I could actually look at it. I could think about it because it's the words are staring back at me. And so when I wrote Wait for It, because it kind of just started out as a journal, I'm just writing, right? I'm just writing everything that I feel about just being heavy and what that goes with and what society tells you you're supposed to look like and how do you lose weight quick and how you have all these images of all these quick fixes. And now it's and this is before all the injections, right? So I'm so glad I'm over that hump because I could see myself going down a rabbit hole on injections, right? Chasing that perfect body. What we're told is the
Mm,
perfect body. You're nothing unless you're thin. If you're heavy, you're nobody, right?
mm,
You're unworthy. And these are what you're told when you are heavy. And somebody who's been heavy all their life. Oh my God, right? And so to write about that, to put it down on paper, and then to be able to take a step back and be like, you know what? I'm going to publish this. I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to put it out as fiction. And if people critique it, so be it. If somebody doesn't like it, whatever. That, Wait for It, is a testimony to me. That book is a labor of love. I even put that on an audiobook, right? That book to me that's my messiness on paper for the world to see. And I truly don't give two shits who has anything to say about this book. Like it, hate it, whatever. That book allowed me to like really look at me and then truly make life changing choices that put me in such a better light. So I love that book. That is my favorite book. So when people say, who's your favorite author? Me. What's your favorite book? Wait for It. Because that was the catalyst that helped me. And through that, I was able to lose weight healthy, right? Over time, care about my body, not be fanatical, make choices that I could keep for the rest of my life, not these quick fixes that are out there,
mm,
right? Because I went down those rabbit holes. I wanted those quick fixes, and I
mm,
would find myself losing weight because I've always struggled back and forth weight, even doing the Mai Tai or the Muay Thai, just back and forth with the weight, right? And I would find myself losing weight, and I would get to like a certain weight, and I would get scared because I'd be like, oh my God, I can't maintain this. How am I going to maintain 185? You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start eating. And then I would self sabotage all the time because I was afraid I could get down there, but the way that I would lose weight would be very, very, very fanatical. So there
mm,
was no way I was going to maintain it. And I knew this, right? And so I would just be like, oh, fuck it. You know what? Who cares? And just start eating, but not just eating, binge eating,
mm,
horrible eating, right? The eating that you just feel so bad about yourself, but you can do nothing. You're either crying or you're eating. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that because it
mm,
sucks when society tells you that you're nothing because you're 240, 250, 270, 300, whatever. If you're not 150 soaking wet as a woman, it's kind of hard if you're not in single digit sizes, right? It's kind of hard. I
mm,
think now as a society, we're seeing more women of different sizes and realizing, right, that all of our bodies are beautiful, but we're still not there yet. Not 100%.
no,
Images are still, very distorted. And that's what Wait for It's about. So if anybody's struggling with body image, yeah, that would be the book for them because that whole character in that book goes through nothing but body images. But
I
she
love
comes out
that.
the other
Like,
side.
I'm so grateful that you took that courage to do it and put it out there because I can feel it. You fully embody it, like I can feel it.
100%.
I, it's amazing. And I'm sure that every single woman, at least who's listening, can relate in some shape or form, whether it's like going down the opposite of really starving and things like that.
Yeah.
I have done that, but I also have done the binge eating, but I don't know how it feels to have like 20 kgs more or something. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because the energy and the struggle you go through is the same in the head.
It's all body image, right? It's all distorted. When you
mm,
look at yourself in the mirror, what do you like the image that is looking back at you? That is the most important. That is the opinion who matters the most.
mm,
The one looking back at you. And you have to get comfortable. I mean, I still look at myself in the mirror and sometimes I'll be like, it's a little uncomfortable because I'm still today getting more and more comfortable with my body, right?
mm.
Wait for it. Well, COVID was what, 4 years ago? right? So not that long ago. So still, I still struggle, not like I used to, because I tell myself I love myself, but still, I'm adamant about working out, and I'm a lot more self-conscious about what I put in my body, and not so much for who's looking, but for me, right? I
Mm,
don't really care who's looking. And that was a big shift for me,
mm.
right? Because it's more about my health than aesthetics.
Yeah. You're radiating so much beauty in my eyes. Like, I just want to hug you and be like, but I understand it is, you can, you talk, you speak my soul, right? That how hard it is. And I admire that because I believe I'm just trying to think back to COVID, like how it was for me, to be honest. Like when it started, something opened up within me and I was like, my insight was like, not party in the sense that I'm going partying, but I was going out in nature. I was doing more meditation, soma breath work. I was, exploring all these things. And yeah, for some reason that was me. But I also know it was definitely hard. And of course, like it was hard for everybody. But imagine, like I can only now imagine like what you went through, and then you had your daughter at that time already, didn't you?
Well, so my daughter is an adult, right? She's a chef. So all of my kids are grown, right? My youngest is 24, right? So yeah, all my kids were here, but my daughter is a chef, and so she is an entrepreneur. She has her own business, and watching her struggle through COVID was hard because who's eating out?
Mm,
Nobody, right? And just the support that she needed, trying to support her, trying to support me, trying to, it was a struggle, but we both, I taught her how to meditate and gave her those things. And my thing is that, again, I am a big about mirroring what I want people to be from me. So I act how I want people to act toward me, right? I mirror what I want you to be toward me. So I want people to be kind and helpful and respectful, and that's how I am. So when it came to my daughter, obviously, yes, I'm going to support and help her. And we have a cookie business together. And I'm her sous chef when she does an order. And yes, I will always, 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 always help her. Right. And to watch her struggle through body image, just going through, because we sat here and we both ate our feelings. We gained a lot of weight, both of us did, and finding our way back, right? That was our kind of common bond, because just one day we just said, we're going to make some changes. It wasn't a big dramatic gesture where we went out and bought all rabbit food and, something that wasn't sustainable, but we started making what we consider to be healthy, sustainable, real changes in the way that we ate, right?
mm,
She's a chef, right? We figured this out, but more importantly, we decided and we made a commitment that we were going to be consistent. And that's
mm.
the key, right? We can make all the changes in the world, but if you only do it for a week, right? Consistency in everything. So that was my big thing for 2025 was consistency. I told myself if I relaunched a business, I was going to be consistent, regardless of who showed up, right? When you put stuff out on social media and you think, oh my God, this is the best video ever. I'm going to put it out there and you get like 2 views, kind of disheartening. But I told myself I was going to be consistent because that's how you build organic growth, right? So I
Yeah.
consistency is a big thing for me. And teaching my children, even though they're grown adults, they still watch what I do, right? They're still learning because they're young adults, right? You don't know everything in your 20s. You think you do, because I know I thought I did, but you don't, right?
Mm,
So my sons are still in their 20s, my daughter's in their 30s. So my sons are still trying to figure it out. She's a little bit more grounded. She is 100% water where I am fire, right? She's all water. She can adapt. That girl is amazing. I told her she's one of the coolest people I know because she is just water. I'm amazed at the things that she can pull off where I struggle because I'm fire. I'm a little bit more aggressive. I can be, I don't mean any harm, but that's just my personality. I'm a Leo. I can't help it. Very demanding, like things when I like them, but very
Same. I'm a
kind,
Leo too,
right?
you know that? Yeah.
I can't help it. That's how I am, but she's water to my fire. So we complement one another, and she's helped me and I've helped her, and we lean on one another. And I think it's really beautiful when you can do that, when you come to a point with your children, when you can do that, because there's a time that I can say I didn't really care for any of them. When they go through those teenage years and they're trying to figure out who they are and they're testing you as a parent, it's a trying time. But now that they're all adults and they're coming into their own, it's so amazing to watch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And what was like it's such a you have so much, to share there, and it's beautiful. But what was, consistency? I love that. And especially what you mentioned, consistency with everything, right? When you start wanted to start to invest in your body again, in your beautiful temple, and get more energy, lose some weight so you feel good. Consistency. Same with when you start something. Like I'm the same. I'm in the same boat with my online business, right? I started end of 23 to start, and it's all about consistency. And yeah, you may have one like, maybe zero, maybe then that doesn't matter. And of course, sometimes the ego comes in. You think like, oh, you're not heard, or this is not a cool message, or you don't matter. But I recently listened to a podcast, and that's the biggest bullshit story you can tell yourself. Because if you feel good, if that was authentic, just do it. That you never know what the other person or what happened. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's about the energy. It will have a ripple effect.
And it will reach the right person. If you believe it will, it absolutely 100% will. I believe that. So you have to, if you're going to be a creator and be out there putting content out there, at least believe what it is that you're doing, right? If not, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, right? Because the lie is not going to take you far. If you don't believe it, it's not going to have any longevity behind it. You're going to burn yourself out because you don't believe what you're doing. You're doing it because somebody said you should be doing it, and that never carries weight for a long time, right?
No.
So you got to do it because you believe in whatever it is that you are doing.
Yeah. And you love doing it. I love doing it. And for me, it's also an accountability thing, because when what I say is full embodiment, right? So that if I put it out there, that means I have to show up that way, Otherwise, this is felt. If it's not, if it's inauthentic, that is felt. Like it's
100%.
how
Yeah, I
that's how I
agree
see
with
it.
that.
Like, so it keeps me accountable when I say those things and put these statements out there. That means like, come on, it's my own mirror reflection, and that's so important. And I just love creating. I love to give an inspiring message to others and share my messy parts. That's what I wanted to actually ask and go a little bit more into, like the messy parts, because I'm absolutely an advocate for that too. Like, you see the beginning of the story, maybe, if let's say there's a, influencer out there and they talk about their journey of becoming wealthy. Let's put it like that. Isn't it? Money, body, love is all what people crave, right? What they want to see, results. And then they show the story at the first, how they were broke or whatever. And then now I'm a millionaire, or now I'm wealthy, but nobody talks really about the messy part. I know it comes out more, but this is the juicy part, right? This is what people really need to see. How
And it's amazing that people don't, and I think people don't want to share it because you are showing a vulnerable part of yourself when you are allowing people to really watch you at probably some of your lowest points, right? When you are over here binge eating shit you shouldn't be eating, but for whatever reason you can't stop, right? You just can't stop. And you're thinking, okay, I don't want to show this to anybody, right? Or when you're get on the scale and the numbers are the wrong direction, right? You don't, and then you start the negative chatter in your head. Right? In the book, wait for it. It's so funny. I didn't even realize I had done this. So the protagonist, she doesn't have a name, right? I didn't realize it when I wrote it that there's nobody utters her name, and her scale talks to her. The reader has to decide if it's her or if it's really the scale,
Oh, I
right?
love.
Because the scale becomes her friend, and everything that she does for the numbers on that scale, which is all the wrong things, right? And when the numbers start going in the right direction, getting smaller, she's getting results, but the way that she's doing it is incredibly unhealthy. It's fanatical. It's not sustainable. It could really be harmful. That's the part that nobody shows you. And how you can rip people apart who honestly care for you, who might be saying, hey, this is not the way to go. Again, you're going to cut down anybody who you think is trying to steal your joy, because I'm losing weight. Now, I might not be losing weight healthfully, but hey, I'm down 10 pounds, not the right way. It was all liquid. I'm now drinking my food or anything like that. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Even with these injection drugs, nobody talks about what really that is. All you hear is, I take an injection and I'm skinny, right? No, I'm pretty sure all of that stuff that you're injecting into your body cannot be good for you, right? And I'm pretty sure 15 years, you're going to start seeing the results of people injecting themselves with these drugs because nobody tells you that it's okay to lose weight slowly, right? It's always a quick fix. Nobody tells you that to lose weight and sustain it takes time, right? Nobody tells you that, you can eat 1,000 or 2,000 calories a day healthfully, right? Nobody tells you this. They just tell you take these pills, drink this liquid, inject yourself, go do all these exercises, and then boom, you'll be skinny. And when you do that, then you're somebody. Then society is willing to take you on. Even if you look at social media, nobody's their real self. Everybody's using filters or AI avatars. Nobody is who they say they are anymore. And I'm thinking that's not the story that I want to tell. That's not the business that I want to build. So I'm authentic. I have no problem anymore showing the vulnerable part of me for the simple fact is that I love who I am and the person that I become. So there's nothing that you could say that could possibly tear that down, right? Nothing. Even if you criticize the journey, you can't criticize what's not yours. It's my journey, right? My story. So it's mine and nobody can take it away from me, and it's my prerogative to share it, and I've chosen to share it knowing that it's subject to criticism, but I'm okay with that. 100%. Even if they don't like the books, and trust me, I've got a bad review on one of my books and I'm okay with that. You know why I'm okay with that? Because they bought that book, right? They bought it, they read it. And just
Yeah.
the fact that you took the time to even review it, thank you. It may not be your cup of tea. It's not for everybody. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just thankful that the book somehow got into your hands, right? That's
Yeah.
just how I look at it. I have found that you have to have a tough skin in this world, but if you kind of take a different attitude, life is okay. Life is okay. We're going to be okay.
It's an adventure. Oh my
It
gosh.
really is.
It's so powerful for everything you say. And, even with social media, and it comes down to being authentic. Like you said, like not being everybody's cup of tea because not everybody is your cup of tea. Why would you
No.
want, it's a,
There are
that,
things that you don't like, right? There are things that you don't like, foods that you don't like, books that you don't like, movies that you don't like. So it's only common sense that somebody's not gonna like your book, or not gonna like your painting, or not gonna like your song, or not gonna like your poem. It's okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right? It's okay.
Because like you said, the most important opinion is the one you have about yourself. If you love
Yeah,
it, then it's all that matters. And I think that
right.
is a journey, especially the young people now with all the influence by social media. It's hard because I feel actually sometimes really sorry for them because they're so caught up. I mean, it took me a long time and I'm still having moments. Of course, the ego comes in when you're wounded, when you have a vulnerable day, and you're like, and then maybe that day some criticism comes. But I move through this quickly now because I just see it. I have the awareness, feel it. I don't bypass it because it's showing me something. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I need it still. I'm looking for validation today. Why is that? I feel insecure. Okay, what do you need? Maybe it's my inner child. Maybe I've neglected myself. Maybe I didn't stick to a promise to stick to my boundary that I said I will. It can show up in so many different ways, but it takes the courage of you and the willingness to go there and to go deep and to face yourself like you did with your journey because there was no way you would have been at this point right now in your life if you wouldn't have gone really deep and faced the shadow, faced the shit, the
no, there's
uncomfortable stuff.
absolutely no way. And that it was ugly. Like I said, it wasn't like overnight. It was, and I spent a lot of time crying. And don't get me wrong, there are still moments where I get doubt. Doubt still creeps in, right? Those moments creep in, and I may even have a moment and come into my trusty closet and have a good cry. I'm okay with that. I just don't stay there, right? I can feel it. I can figure out why. Like, why am I feeling like this today? Sometimes it's, God, I'm so afraid to do this next step in the business because I don't know what's going to happen. And, all this stuff. But I'm like, you know what, Kelly? Do you believe in it? Yeah. Is it a good idea? I think so. Okay, then. Are you authentic? Are you trying to rip anybody off? No. Okay. Then go ahead and put it out there. And that's kind of, I check it with myself. And how do you feel about it? Do you feel good about what you're doing? Yeah, I feel great. This is such a great, then go for it. Don't let that doubt take, take that from you. So, and then I'm big on affirmations, right? So a lot that helped me get to where I am is affirmations. And I will tell you a couple things about affirmations. When I first started saying them, I didn't necessarily believe them, right? I am enough. I am beautiful. I am whatever. Didn't really believe them. So I thought, God, it's not working. But like everybody is, everything I read about affirmations, they say that it really turns on something in the brain, right? And I'm thinking, okay, well, what am I missing? I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna record these in my own voice. I bet you if I hear me say it every day, I'm gonna start to believe it. And I'll be damned. That shit works. I listen to my affirmations every day. And so I have them on my phone in the record app, and they're all just lined up. And if I come up with one, if I think of one, I'll just record it, and then it's just in the playlist. So in the morning after I meditate, because I always meditate first thing in the morning before I even put my feet on the ground, I always meditate, gratitude, all that good stuff, happy for the breath, try to be in the present, right? Before I get up, before my brain starts thinking about all the things I have to do. I want to spend like 30 minutes in the present. So I meditate for 30 minutes. And then I don't go to social media. I turn on my affirmations and I just listen to them like I would like a playlist, right? And I just listen to them. There's like an hour's worth. And I just listen to them, right? And it's so funny because I even got like little songs that I've recorded, and those will play as well. So I got to the point where I kind of know what's going to come up next. So the stuff that I hear myself saying after months and months and months and months of listening to myself, yes, I believe that affirmations are wonderful. And if you don't use them, I highly suggest that you do. And if you're struggling, then just record them in your own voice and then play them back to you. Nothing stronger to you and your brain and your body than the sound of your own voice, telling yourself that you are all of these wonderful things.
I find it powerful because I actually do the same. I've done it for years. Even with boxing, I did my own affirmations. And I was inspired by, then I was working with a healer and mentor, and she was doing it like, like a calming one, 10 minutes before the fight, 50 minutes. And then I recorded my own one, and I always listened to this. And then I applied it to my life, when there was something coming up, self-love, body, whatever, trust. And now I have, like, whenever I get certain upgrades as well about a specific step in my life, I do it. I'm not like very rigid on it. It's just like sometimes I listen to it for weeks, and then once the upgrade is done, then it's integrated, and I'm like, okay, let it be. Like, I used to be very rigid in that way, but I feel that's my flow. But I have it also like the playlist, and then like it can come up. I'm going for a walk, and
Yeah.
then listen to you listen to your affirmations today. I'm doing that. I have like certain playlists or light language and things like that. Like that just I need, and then I can just choose from that toolbox. And like you said, I really, really wanted to just repeat that one more time, what you said. Like, the most powerful voice you can listen to is yourself, because your brain is hearing that all day long since
Yeah.
you were born, right? It's the inner voice. And I want people to really let this sink in, how much power you truly have. When you can tell yourself all that crap, then you can also reverse that and actually transmute it into the powerful stuff. Yeah.
I think the one day where I heard some negative chatter come in my head, and then I said, no, we're not doing that today. And I was able to push it out, and the negative chatter went away. I was like, man, okay, this is working. And now I just don't have negative chatter. If I do, it's all centered around the business, right? Because the business, there's a lot of unknowns when you're launching a business and you're an entrepreneur, you don't know. So it's like, is this the right move? But when it comes to me, no. The negative chatter for me is gone. The doubt comes in as, are you doing the right thing with the business? Are you on the right track? Are you making those types of negative doubt comes in my head? But me, Kelly, no, I'm very grounded now. I can say that with 100% confidence. I am grounded with who I am. I am 100% good with who I am. Whether I am with somebody like in a romantic relationship or by myself, I have learned that I am never alone, because I am always with all of my ancestors and spirit guides. And I take all of these people with me when I enter rooms so that I don't feel small. I always take everybody with me. And actually, Anja Amayalu said that when you go into a room, if you feel small, take all of your ancestors. Take your grandma, take your auntie, take everybody, take your aunt, tell them, say it out loud. Come on, everybody. I'm getting ready to go have this interview. So let's go. Come on, you guys. I need you guys to back me up. And so I tell this, my mom's not here. I call upon my mom. Come on, mom. I gotta Woo, I'm going to start this new venture down the business. I need you to be here. And yeah, and I can hear her saying, yep, let's go ahead and do this. You got this. You got this. And that pulls me forward every single blessed day. And if that inspires somebody, then great. If somebody says, you know what, sounds like a bunch of whatever, then you know what? I'm okay with that too, because that's your truth. And I would never say that your truth isn't true. Everybody, I always say this is what I had to tell my daughter as an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, listen to me good. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Okay?
I like that. I love it. True. Yeah, it's true. That's why it's so yeah, it's really good. I like it. I have never heard like that. You said that about yourself. You should put it out there on
I
a
don't know
t-shirt.
where I don't know where I heard that, but it's true. Everybody has one. That's why I'd always say opinions are like assholes. Not saying that you're an asshole for having an opinion,
No, of
saying that
course.
everybody has one, and it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's true. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so true. It's amazing. And then it comes back now the loop to tune into yourself first. It's not saying like that is also my messaging, my core message, like in everything, with your body, with everything. You're the own master of everything to tune in.
Yes.
You're the oracle. Nothing wrong with seeking some inspiration, asking other people, but first tune in. Come from an empowered place first, because if you do not do that, you're so vulnerable. You become a copy of the other person. You just take it
Yes.
on.
And then it's not sustainable,
Right.
right? Because it's not really you,
Yeah. And you can
So
feel it.
yeah.
You can feel it if something is in alignment with you or not, like
Yeah.
that. If I know now, if something is not in alignment, I feel contracted. My body will shut down. If I haven't listened before when it already started to whisper my intuition, and now it's not just a whisper anymore, it's very loud because I trained that muscle. But even then, and because I can be stubborn, Leos can be so there. I'm like, no, I'm still doing this and that. And then now my body will completely shut down. It will come up with something if it's not meant to be at that moment. Doesn't mean never. It's also very important to remember that, but sometimes it's not the right time for certain actions because there's something you need to still see, release, whatever.
And that's one of the things that I do too. Like if I'm tired, I won't force myself to keep working. The old me would have. And then
Mm,
the output that you put out isn't good anyway, so you end up redoing it anyway, right? Because you beat yourself up saying I should do this or whatever. And it's
mm.
okay. If I miss a deadline, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. And I've learned that, you can give yourself grace. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to stop. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to do all those things.
Absolutely. And I love that. And it just like last night, I had an experience like where I didn't meet the deadline for myself with an upload of my podcast because I was on a podcast late in the evening and, things happen. And then I thought maybe I can just quickly do it. But I had, a little headache and my body told me, you need rest, go to bed. And
Yeah, go
also
to bed.
go to bed and just who cares? The world is not going down because Mia hasn't posted her podcast episode on Friday and she's doing it instead on Saturday. It doesn't, it's, but there was the mini voice like, but the discipline, it didn't stick to that. Oh my gosh, it happens. Life happens. Things just happen. And I love that you shared
Well,
that.
if anything, I mean, it's great to have the discipline and it's great to have the consistency, but give yourself a little grace and give yourself flexibility, right? It's okay.
Yeah. If it happens, like, life can happen,
Life happens. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Would have been a storm and I wouldn't have had any like electricity, internet, or I would have been in hospital, whatever happens, God forbid, then that would have been like a complete no, it'd be like, okay, of course I can't do anything. And that was more like a test of that your own self growth. What are you saying no to? It's the real test.
Exactly.
And
I agree.
wow. I mean, I feel like this conversation can go on forever. Such a powerhouse and so much fire. I love when there's fire coming in the house.
Well, you know what? It's just really nice to be able to tell your story and really, when you realize that you are not alone in this very big but small world that we live in, I honestly, truly believe that as people, as humans, we are more alike than we are different. I think we're so told we're different, different colors, different races, different whatever. At the end of the day, I think we all want the same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be happy, and so we're more alike. And so I think if you seek understanding, right? If you seek compassion, if you seek kindness, and if you're authentic, I think that you'll find what you're looking for in the world eventually. I truly believe that. But you have to kind of step out of the noise for a minute and ground yourself and really figure out what that looks like for you. Only you can decide that. And then
Yeah.
I think once you can do that, I think life takes on a whole different meaning. I think you start to appreciate more. I mean, I'm rooted in gratitude. I'm grateful for everything. I didn't used to be. Right? And it's a whole different energy. It's a whole different light. I see things in a whole different way. I have a whole different perspective. So I said, if
Ooh,
you read the book and you're like, God, this shit sucks. Ah, that's okay. I'm grateful you bought it. Right? I'm grateful that you read it. I'm grateful that you even put a review out there, even if it's horrible, because that's your opinion. It's
mm,
okay. It's all right. You know,
yeah.
so I think I just think we'll get there eventually. At least I like to think that we will as
Mhm.
people. I have hope. I'm optimistic and I carry that with me. That's my light. And I'll never let anybody dim my light again.
Very powerful. Absolutely love that. I'm sure you touched so many hearts and inspired all the listeners, whoever's tuning in, and you will continue to do that because it's just amazing. Like, yeah, never dim your light because he shines so bright. That was a rhyme. I should write that down. She's coming up with it. But if you would have one message, I call it the "Do It Never Stop" message because it's coming from actually that's what my last name stands for. I realized that I don't know 10 years ago. Like DINS stands for "Do It Never Stop." Like one message. I know there are so many nuggets you already shared, but one thing that comes through to you right now that you think the audience needs to hear from, yeah, whatever comes through.
Be authentic, right?
Mm.
Be who you are, not who somebody told you you should be, not who your boyfriend or your husband or your friends. Be who you are. Honor yourself first, others second. You will find that like I said, if you listen to yourself, you're probably telling yourself some really good shit.
That amen, amen to that because it's like, yeah, you speak my soul. There's nothing to add. And now, if people want to work with you, if they have this idea, like, oh my gosh, I need to chat with Kelly because I want to, like put my book out or be as bold and courageous as her, and or they even want to read your books, which I definitely want to do because I wrote them down. Where can they find you? And I
So
was
the easiest place is my website, which is brightheadedpublishing.com. You can see the books, you can check out the podcast. We have a book club that you can join. We only support indie authors. You can check out the author's mic and see past guests. You can check out BTA Fridays. That's another thing I do. That's called Breaking the Algorithm, where we talk about different ways to market your book outside of social media, right? And really connecting with your readers and how to do that and just different ways. And I'm not I'm not the end all be all, but I always try to be helpful and share what I can and hope that it will help somebody, which is why I
Mhm.
do the podcast. And then I'm starting to launch, since this is gonna air the last week of the year, come January, I start monetizing my business. So I've got digital products that I'm gonna be launching, and they're not expensive. People can go and download them to help them, templates, whatever, to help them market their book. And then I'm starting a series, a directory called Trust Bridge, and it's where authors will pay a fee, and I will connect them with podcast, book clubs, and bookstores who are interested in working with indie authors and getting your book on book clubs and getting it read by book clubs buy books, right? Getting your book on the shelves of bookstores, right? And then getting you in podcasts. So really kind of a matchmaking service for authors to market their book. Because I'm a recruiter by trade. I've been a recruiter for 20 years. So recruiting is just matchmaking, right? So
Yeah.
I just have this knack to put people together. So I thought, let me take my matchmaking ability and build a directory. So right now I'm building a directory of podcasts, book clubs, and bookstores. And then I'll launch the paid services. The authors are the ones that pay, but it won't be expensive because I'm not trying to rob anybody, but I got to eat, right? Got to make a living. And then I'll launch that in January. So I'm really excited about Trust Bridge. And that's where that doubt creeps in, like, oh my God, is this going to work? 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 It's scary, but I feel like it is the next natural step for the business. So if
Mhm.
anybody is interested in checking me out, brightheadedpublishing.com.
I'll put that in the description box below, guys. And then, of course, you can connect with Kelly. You can email her or whatever, in whatever shape or form.
Oh, and I would love your podcast to be a part of the directory, because as I come across amazing people that align with you, I would like to be able to introduce them to you. And then you can decide if they align with what your message is.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
love the
Love
co-creation.
to help people and connect. And that's why it's called Trust Bridge, to build that bridge.
Okay. Perfect. I love that. Well, it has been amazing. Like you were giving me also so much energy, and I feel like so fired up as well, fire on fire. And thank you so much for being you, for being so authentic, sharing your story, and yeah, like shining a light, as I said before. And guys, if you have any questions, any comments, anything, leave them below. We're always happy to hear from you, what resonated with you, what didn't resonate with you. It's all welcomed here. And as we know, everybody has an opinion. I will not forget this. And thank you so much, Kelly, for being here. I truly appreciate you.
You are so welcome. I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And until next time, guys, bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Din's Talk. I hope today's conversation sparked something within you. Remember, you have the power to align with your soul, take bold action, and live a life fueled by passion. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and leave a comment if this episode resonated with you. And as always, do it, never stop. Until next time, keep claiming your fire and your power.